Welcome to NARAL's The Morning After. Each Thursday, our podcast brings you the latest on reproductive health care, progressive politics, and the fight to keep abortion safe and legal. NARAL's The Morning After is a production of NARAL Pro-Choice Ohio. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Pro-Choice OH. Enjoy the show.
Hi, I'm Gabe.
Hi, I'm Vashitta.
I'm Kelley.
Welcome back.
Yes.
Okay, so there's a lot going on. Some good news, some bad news. We'll start with the bad. We're down one more clinic in the state of Ohio.
Yes, definitely bad news, unfortunately.
Yeah. Akron Women's Medical Group has made the decision to close the doors. Along with them goes, so they're the surgical abortion provider, what we think of as the abortion clinic. They have a separate facility called the Cleveland Women's Medical Group that was also providing, their doctors had the ability to prescribe medication, abortion medication. That facility is also closing the doors. So just the owners made the decision to close, as businesses do. But what really is terrible is we don't have a way, as advocates for patients, doctors don't have a way of replacing these facilities.
Absolutely. So being down one more clinic means that people in that area, Northeast Ohio, are going to have to find a different avenue when they want to get an abortion. So on top of the, I would say, mental anguish of going through that, you also have to be emotionally ready to place or a close place to go to.
Right. There fortunately are other options, obviously, in Northeast Ohio. There's preterm, there's Planned Parenthood's Bedford Heights location. There's the Northeast Ohio clinic. I can't remember the proper name of it. It's in Cuyahoga Falls. So there are other clinics in that area, but they're still serving the same base of women that they've already been serving.
Exactly. So now you have twice as many women coming.
Yes.
Yeah, you have longer wait times.
Absolutely.
Longer first days until your appointment. So going to push back like when you have your abortion, possibly even into the second trimester.
Right. So this was definitely terrible news that, we're working to continue to support all of our open clinics. There are still 8 surgical abortion facilities across the state of Ohio. You can find all 8 listed on our website. We'll put a link in the show notes. But this is bad news.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we fight hard to try to keep access to safe and legal abortions, and then keep the clinics open. And then, we have something like this that comes up, and it's kind of, a sad day for all of us.
Right.
And our 8 clinics don't just serve Ohio. They also serve Indiana and West Virginia and Kentucky. So
yeah.
Because those states each have like only one clinic. I know in Kentucky and I think West Virginia too. So.
Well, and in Pennsylvania where they have clinics, but it's similar to our setup. Mm-hmm. There's a perfectly good abortion clinic in Pittsburgh, but if they don't have an opening for you, it doesn't do you any good.
Exactly.
Many times we've been asked, what is the most extreme abortion restriction? And have really come to realize that the most extreme one is the one that if you're in the waiting room or trying to get into that waiting room, and that's the restriction that's blocking you, that's the most extreme restriction for you.
Right. Can't even get your foot in the door.
Right.
I mean, we had 2-week waiting times for your first appointment at the clinic I worked at. So yeah, it can really be a barrier.
Right. So we're working to get around that. I was talking about this with the team at Lady Parts Justice last week up in Cleveland. They did a really terrific comedy show to benefit preterm, to entertain Planned Parenthood staff that are up there. And the Cleveland area community. They did a great job, and then hosted a hot tub party in the preterm parking lot at 4 on Friday.
They just brought their own hot tubs?
They brought their own hot tub.
Oh, okay.
It was like a rental hot tub on a trailer, and they just rolled it in and
so weird.
Set up some tables and chairs. And so,
why not? It's a party.
Yeah, some speakers. I guess they asked the clinic, they said, hey, what would be helpful? Because preterm has had broken windows in the past, that defense stolen. And they've been, getting donations from the community to replace all of these things. They've been working through these challenges. And the staff has just been, I think, kind of exhausted from all of that, plus the stress of operating an abortion clinic. And they said, it'd be really fun. What if we had a hot tub party? And they threw a damn hot tub party in their parking lot.
That's
awesome.
amazing. Yeah. Super funny.
So that was really great. The other thing that Lady Parts Justice is doing as they continue with their tour across the country is beginning a campaign called Expose Fake Clinics. That's their hashtag, Expose Fake Clinics, to bring attention to how destructive crisis pregnancy centers are in our communities. So I know we have CPCs. Kelley, you're going to be talking to folks about CPCs in Cincinnati tonight.
Yes.
They're bad.
They are bad. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot more of those than there are of abortion clinics. I mean, there's there's at least 2 by the center, or by the abortion clinic here in Columbus on Main Street, and then there's at least another one by Founders. So they're everywhere, and they are not licensed medical facilities, and they like to basically like they like to deceive people. It's just like you go in, you say, I think I'm here for an appointment for an abortion. They take your name, and then they waste your time, and then you've missed your actual appointment at the abortion clinic across the street that has a very similar name.
Right. Which you might have waited 2 weeks for.
Yeah. So now you have to reschedule your day 1. So you could be looking at 3-4 weeks for your abortion.
Right.
And these are the clinics that some people felt compelled to give money to.
Some people.
Yeah.
Right. So we now give $1 million of we did the Dr. Evil meme on Twitter. Ohio now gives $1 million to these to the anti-abortion groups that run crisis pregnancy centers.
Yeah.
I don't even like saying that we're giving it to the centers, because that sort of has some air of legitimacy.
No, we
are
taking it from TANF funds.
Right.
Right.
It's money that should be going towards low-income Ohioans for,
absolutely,
for need as they go through.
Yeah, important
actual tangible help, as opposed to just here's some lies and some pretty words.
Right. So Ohio's not alone. We're not the only state that funds these facilities.
Texas has given a lot of money.
Yeah. So Lady Parts Justice said, enough is enough. We're going to really start to expose the fake clinics. So you can check it out at exposefakeclinics.com. There's lots of information, including a study that NARAL Pro-Choice Ohio did a few years back to look at, where are these facilities across Ohio? What are they doing? How do they operate? We make the statement quite frequently that they lie to women, that they're deceptive. And our staff wanted to be able to verify that. And so they actually had people go into clinics to get real answers. And what they found was shocking. It's a bunch of lies. So we actually have had firsthand experience with our staff and volunteers in these facilities. They got lied to for fun. And then wrote it down.
I mean, they'll even tell you that you're a lot further along in your pregnancy than you actually are, just to make it like, so you think you can't have an abortion, like, because you thought you were 7, but it turns out you're 17, and no, you're actually 7.
Right. Well, but if you were waiting 2 weeks to get in there, and then that's the door that you walk into, and it's another 3 weeks, it might be the situation where they're lying to you about how far along you are. Or it might be that they've just thrown you off so much that now you actually are farther along by the time you get into a real clinic. Maybe you've missed the window for the less expensive, simpler medication abortion, and now you're looking at a more expensive, harder to schedule surgical procedure.
Absolutely.
Which because it's more expensive and harder to schedule,
you may not be able to afford or be able to get.
That's right.
And that's their goal.
Yeah. So everybody should go to exposefakeclinics.com. Great website that they put together. There's a ton of stuff with that same hashtag all over social media.
Spread the word. Let others know.
Go protest.
Yeah, all of the above.
Right. So that's what we're looking at here across the state of Ohio. Nationally, we've been watching the U.S. Senate. They've been working on their effort to destroy Obamacare in whatever way they decide on.
Exactly. Repeal and replace, repeal and don't replace. Now just fail. Okay.
Right. The big news that broke yesterday out of Arizona was Senator John McCain now has a brain tumor. Kelly, you were able to say the name of it.
I think it's pronounced glioblastoma,
right.
which is
good job. I wasn't going to attempt.
a very, very aggressive form of brain cancer, and there's a very low chance of survival.
So I guess the chances of survival, even with treatment, are about 14 months.
I mean, that's a high estimate.
That's what I read. So,
wow.
Yeah, pretty.
Luckily for Senator McCain, he has very good health insurance.
Right.
Yeah, somebody else with the same form of brain tumor may not even have. So their chances will be a lot lower. And
I have heard whispers on Twitter of somebody appealing to Senator McCain about brain cancer, their husband had brain cancer and to not take away insurance, and his advice was to move out of Arizona. So.
Oh. Okay.
Well, there's one thing. I mean, the idea of people having to move to improve their health insurance thing is not.
Everyone's not financially able to do that.
Right. So that's not something. That's not a real solution for people.
It's not ideal.
And so we wish the best for Senator McCain. But this gives us a really great example of how important access to health insurance is for
exactly.
For all people. You shouldn't have to rely on being in the U.S. Senate to beat something like cancer.
Absolutely.
I think for the politics of this bill, it's going to completely change it. The bill pretty much was already shot down.
Yeah.
Enough Republicans had come out and said, no, they're not voting for the Senate version of what the House passed.
BRBC or BRCA?
Yeah. I don't know what that stands for.
There's too many acronyms these days.
The rotten bill that the Senate was going to pass, that one was dead. And then they were going to push up something second that would just be straight repeal without replacing it, just ripping the rug out from people.
I think Senator McConnell is actually still trying to push that.
Sheesh.
I don't know. I think that one, he might be. But I think everybody across the board understands, well, removing healthcare completely from people without giving them something else.
Exactly.
We all sort of assume that the thing that they'd replace it with is going to be worse than what they're taking away, but just straight up removing is awful. Everyone gets that. So
I'm not sure they do, but we do.
Right.
Yeah.
Only 22 million before. Now it'd just be 32 million. It's fine.
Right. It's fine. You don't need 10 million more.
Right. Everybody's watching to see what the Senate's going to do. What I think is kind of the silly side of this is it's still a train wreck, but McConnell made people cancel their summer vacations just to be able to work on this train wreck. So there's all sorts of staff and reporters.
I mean, I really don't understand why they think they'd be able to get this done in such a short time frame to begin with. I mean, it took 2 years to pass the Affordable Care Act the first time around.
Right.
Why would you think that you'd be able to repeal and replace it within 8 months?
And since then, they've had 7 full years to work on an alternate solution, and they never came up with anything.
It wasn't even really an alternate solution. They're just we don't like what we have, so we're going to burn it to the ground, and maybe we'll see if there's something else we can do. And by that, I mean not at all.
Right. Yeah, we looked it up one time and realized that the United States fought and finished all of World War II in less time that they have had to come up with just one bill to improve upon Obamacare. And they couldn't do it.
Go figure.
The greatest generation fought a whole damn war, a world war, but you can't come up with a better bill.
Absolutely not.
Maybe instead of torching it, consider proactive legislation to improve it.
Yeah.
But that makes too much sense, I think.
Somebody is getting something out of this. John Kasich has weighed in with a New York Times editorial on this entire mess in the Senate. He says that the best next step is for members of both parties to ignore the fear of criticism that can come from reaching across the aisle and put pencil to pad on these and other ideas that repair healthcare in real sustainable ways. America needs it, and I know that a bipartisan group of governors, including myself, stands ready to help in any way we can to provide an affordable, sustainable, and responsible system of healthcare for the American people. I mean, he's definitely working on casting himself
2020.
as Mr. Moderate.
Yeah. It's interesting because he has been relatively good about Medicaid in Ohio, and there are still some states in the United States that haven't expanded Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act. So I wonder if like the whatever moderate but Republicans may still exist in the legislature would be potentially interested in like actually completing the Medicaid expansion. And I'm just being optimistic here.
We appreciate that.
A little bit, but I mean, I think there are members of the U.S. Senate who, you know, they're doing a real legit bit of soul searching, and it's like, do we want to come across as actual human beings, or do we want to be, you know, Republicans?
You know what makes me really happy? The no votes have been Republican women.
Yes.
So I mean, you can say what you want to about like feminism that doesn't benefit women, doesn't mean representation that's good, but like, I mean, they're Republican women, so I'm clearly not going to agree with them on a lot of things, but like they're still doing more than the Republican men.
Right. Yeah, that definitely does speak to the value of
they still have that ounce of
integrity
left.
Yes. The value of electing, you know, more women to office for both parties.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which isn't to say that every candidate, you know, of the female gender is going to be superior than the men. It certainly wasn't the case down in Georgia. I don't think we're going to get any help from Karen Handel, but yes, the Republican women in the U.S. Senate have been the ones putting the foot down and saying, no, this is a really stupid idea.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's good. And fortunately, the Democrats, you know, Sherrod Brown first among them, have been saying, no, we are absolutely not going to be removing healthcare from people. So we'll see what they continue to do through August as people continue to cancel their vacations.
Suckers.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I would have kept the vacation and just phoned it in, because you can vote no.
Vote no from their phone. Yeah. Just enjoy me on the beach, whatever.
Right. Fly back for just the little part that you have to be on the floor, and then because
you have the money and the healthcare to do it.
Right. Wouldn't it be nice? So, okay. So that's what's happening in Congress. Then the next thing we want to talk about is
what's
here
happening locally
in Columbus.
So the Black Pride 4, Tuesday, they had their protest of the Stonewall community meeting.
Right.
And they actually came very well prepared, I would say. They had a list of grievances as well as demands. I can read them or I cannot. But, you know, kind of to sum it up, they wanted to know why Stonewall had not condemned the police violence that happened at their event.
Right.
They wanted to have a community conversation without the Stonewall wanted to have a community conversation without the Black Pride 4 without taking their demands into account.
Yeah, they changed the location last minute.
So. Yeah. And they, you know, also said that basically Stonewall has had this longstanding history of exclusion of LGBTQ people of color. And, you know, their recent basically behavior is no exception to that rule.
Yeah, that, I mean, I was at Pride when like the Black Pride 4.
Yes, you were there front and center.
I was. It was not pretty. And it was definitely an excessive use of force. I mean, you know, people throwing bikes at the protesters and then, you know, macing everybody.
And expecting people to just behave normally as if nothing's happening. No. Right, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely
doesn't happen.
It definitely is.
Right.
Lord. I don't even have anything like coherent or eloquent to say. Just I'm.
So let me read our statement real quick here. Our statement after the parade happened was NARAL Pro-Choice Ohio cherishes Ohio's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer communities, and Ohio's diverse communities of color. We are working to build a state where everyone has the right to make their own reproductive health care decisions and determine if, when, and with whom they have children or create a family. Black and transgender individuals are frequently targeted for violence, even by those who have sworn to protect and service all of the police. Reproductive freedom nor reproductive justice can be achieved unless this changes. We call for all charges to be dropped for all individuals in protest at Columbus Pride. Mm-hmm.
And then there was the statement released from the executive director of Stonewall after the fact
that they're calling for the immediate resignation of
yes.
Is it
Carla Rosen, I think.
Yes,
but Carla's statement itself was, it essentially boiled down to, I'm sorry they don't feel included in this community, which is really uncomfortable because like you are the one creating this community.
Yeah. I'm sorry that too. Now let's fix it.
Right.
No,
it's just like
you have an immeasurable amount of power to change this community, to make it more inclusive, and I don't see.
So basically, not using your platform for the better good,
right?
But what benefits you?
Yeah. The day of the parade, I mean, I sort of watched and I shared the viewpoint of a lot of people who didn't know what the hell was going on. And you know, saw it. I wasn't at the parade. I saw it mostly on social media. A bunch of a bunch of odd videos put on Facebook, and it's like, oh, holy shit, something's happening at the parade. You know, so your first thought is, oh no, this is bad.
Right.
Yeah, it was bad in a different way.
It was really unfortunate because it was right in front of the anti-choice, anti-LGBTQ protesters.
Right. So then there was a bunch of questions like, what is happening? Why is it happening there? Is this the antis?
It was right where the end of the parade was.
Right.
So I think that was kind of like the point, was like it was at the end of the parade that wanted the 7 minutes of silence, but it was also right in front of like the people who are usually screaming outside the abortion clinics and just generally.
And I think it's that both of those groups just picked City Hall as the backdrop because that's the
very
backdrop.
Poetic drop.
Right.
Yeah.
So I imagine there was probably a lot of mixed messages, like for people who didn't necessarily know what was going on.
Yeah. And you know, I saw a lot of photos of people who were applauding as the arrests were happening.
Mm-hmm.
Probably assuming that they were anti-LGBTQ protesters being arrested.
I really do.
That's what I'm guessing. I'm hoping. Right.
Yeah. So, you know, I think that during the parade, there was a lot of confusion. I came in the next day, just kind of like, Jesus, what, you know, that was a lot of confusion still on my part. This, you know, event
very much more straightforward.
Yeah, walking into an event that's meant to be a community discussion saying, hey, we don't feel included. We want to have our questions answered. This is the time to have that dialogue. And it really sounded like the opportunity was not taken up on the part of Stonewall. For them to say, hey, we're not being included in this.
Right.
When you're changing the venue multiple times and you say, no, you are included, and just shutting down that initial, you're not, you know, making us part of the discussion.
It's just still crazy to me.
I mean, if you change the venue several times, like you're screwing over anybody who uses public transportation,
right?
Which like it would be low income people of color, like
absolutely.
Come on, guys.
Right. So, you know, I think our statement then was, we call for all charges to be dropped. We certainly still stand by that.
Absolutely.
You know, prosecution of these individuals doesn't solve anything here.
Not at all.
Especially now that their intention, you know, is very clear.
Mm-hmm.
And the statement, like, you should file a formal complaint. Do you live in Columbus? Like, have you worked with the police?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was like some of their demands, you know, the immediate resignation of the executive director, publicly condemning the Columbus Police Department, and having all of the charges dropped on the Black Pride 4, rightfully so.
Yeah. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that. We definitely have. I was looking at the pictures of people protesting in the room, and it's like, oh, I know her.
I know.
So, for all of our friends that were there, good job. Way to continue the conversation.
Absolutely.
You know, and we'll definitely continue to be a part of that as appropriate. So
absolutely.
So the next thing we've got on our agenda is talking about an NPR story that I think Kelley and I disagree on about the role of birth control as an environmental factor.
Okay.
Take it away.
Yeah, so there's an NPR story that essentially boils down to, if you care about climate change, plan your families. Which, like, on the surface, I don't disagree with necessarily. Like, I think it is definitely a good idea to plan how many children you have, and not to, I don't think anybody should have 10 children. I don't like being pregnant the first time. Why would you want to do this 10 times? Oh my God.
Some people want large families. They enjoy being pregnant. And
I am not one of those people. And on the surface, I don't disagree. My problem is, I think it is a tool that People are using to shame people who want to have children, saying you shouldn't have children, it's bad for the planet. And a lot of this is also like kind of racist, because the people who are going to be most affected by climate change are people of color and low income people, and like people in this like coastal cities where most of the population lives. So we're, Florida, has a very large Latino population.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I don't on the surface disagree with it. But I also don't think that individual actions are really what's going to change climate change. It's going to be like systematic change, like, participating in the Paris Accord. And,
right.
And I mean, this is just me waving my little like anti-capitalist flag, but like it's 100 companies that produce 71% of the emissions and the pollutants that are like in the air.
Right.
Like individuals are not going to have like any impact on that. It has to be systemic change.
Okay. We're definitely closer than I thought we were from our initial conversation on this.
It's almost like my pithy anger isn't really like representative of my nuanced view. Amazing.
I went to a high school where the biology teacher was big on teaching us, sort of Malthusian population studies. And yeah, he did all the fancy stuff. I always went to school with this, this high school biology class about population control and how too many people, in across the world are the cause of so many of the environmental problems.
I don't think it's too many people. What I think it is like overusing or like using too many resources. Like the planet has enough resources for the population that we have, and also like most of like developed world has declining birth rates. Like Japan is not going to be able to like take care of its elders because there are so few people who are getting married and having children as it stands.
Right.
So most of the world is not at replacement rate. Even if I have 2 children, that is not at replacement rate for like the United States.
Right. Yeah. I think that's the biggest part of the racial side of this is, the white parts of the world have already dropped their birth rate down. And now we're asking everybody to come down to a level that we're at. And so, it's applying that change to them. And I think, the sides of this that you also see is like China shifting to a more meat heavy diet. And so that's going to increase the amount of cattle that they have, and then the, pollution that the cattle produce. And it's like, no, Chinese people don't eat meat. And here we are, with steaks in every plate, in middle-class United States. So I think that birth control has to be a big part of, environmental solutions moving forward. And we should emphasize that it needs to be, voluntary. The idea of a one-child policy is abhorrent. We're pro-choice, and the choice needs to be there. There's no forced anything. But, I think this is all good. their message.
I think it is largely good and could use more nuance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. It kind of gets strangely weird at certain points.
I think there was, let me see if I can find it with any kind of rapidness. Probably not. No, I'm not going to be able to find it. It's probably on Twitter.
A co-author of the study says, "I knew this was a sensitive topic to bring up."
Amazing.
Kimberly Nicholas said, yeah, certainly it's not my place as a scientist to dictate choices for other people, but I do think it is my place to do the analysis and report it fairly. So
I respect that.
Yeah. Having one fewer child reduces 58.6 metric tons of carbon emissions per year.
Yeah, there's a prominent feminist who I won't name who tweeted, "Having children is one of the worst things you can do for the planet. Have one less and conserve resources," which boils down to what this argument is, but is perhaps not the kindest way to put it.
Yeah. No, it's not. And I think we should note that we're all either parents or parents to be here at this table. So, we like having kids.
Gabe has 2. I have 2.
I have one on the way.
Kelley has one on the way. I think we can all weigh in equally, and
I think that we all made the choices that are appropriate for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, my nuance boils down to maybe don't stick your nose in other people's reproductive choices.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a way to sort of demonstrate the value. You know, my mom had 5 siblings. I have 2 siblings. My kid each has 1 sibling. So the benefits of, you know, smaller families,
Right.
I think they sort of speak for themselves. And so you don't need to shove your nose in, but just,
Right.
you know,
I
life
think
gets
for
better.
me, I look at the surrounding circumstances, the way the world is today, where it's going, and I just kind of think, I wouldn't want to bring another child into this world. It gets scarier and scarier, and so, for me personally,
I just don't want to pay an extra daycare bill.
that too.
Yeah, if I have a
2
second
is
one,
enough.
it'll be when this one's in kindergarten. So
Yes.
Okay.
I guess we could kind of use that as a jumping off point into going into the next one.
Yes.
Yeah, it turns out reproductive coercion is not cool. In Tennessee, there's a program in White County, Tennessee, where
Irony.
Exactly.
Where you can get credit for jail time if you opt in to the, birth control. So if you're a male, this would mean a vasectomy, and if you're a female, you would get a Nexplanon implant, which lasts for about 4 years. This makes me feel icky.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
It seems a little reminiscent of forced sterilization, which is kind of a critique of like the increased encouragement of using LARCs, so long-acting release contraceptives, so Nexplanon and IUDs and etc. Is just yes, they are very effective, and if you don't want another child for 10, 5, how many years, they're great. But like it can also I can also see where it would seem very reproductive coercion.
Oh, it's absolutely that.
Well, certainly in this, like where you're like, oh, you get less jail time if you decide not to have children. Like that's
Right.
I mean, you know, I don't even know what to say. I mean, you know, it is what it is. The way that they put it definitely sounds very, like you said, icky, makes you feel icky. But you know,
well, I think the funny thing
I don't even know where to go.
the individual parts of this are each things separately that we support.
True.
You know, not having extended jail sentences for crimes that maybe don't deserve them is something that we, you know, that's a big part of reproductive justice.
Absolutely.
Down with mandatory minimums.
Right. Free access to long-term contraception and vasectomies, something that we support. You combine the two, and it kind of becomes really weird in a way that's not appropriate.
It's also especially icky since it seems to be targeted or marketed towards minorities.
Absolutely.
And like
we don't want
persons.
You to procreate. How about you do this experiment for us and get on birth control?
That sounds very familiar. Maybe reminiscent of the ski.
Yeah, I was going to make that point next. You know, that's why this doesn't surprise me as much.
Yeah, it really does not surprise me, but it does disappoint me.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And not to compare the thing that they're offering to women with the thing that they're offering to men, but there's a myth out there that a vasectomy is reversable. No, it's really not. I mean,
it also doesn't
theoretically
work immediately,
possible, but so you know, the Nexplanon, it only lasting 4 years. Right. It's not, you know, it's not a permanent sterilization.
Right.
I can kind of see, you know, where they're going. I would be much more comfortable if they said, you know what, our prisons have too many people in them. Let's look at ways to responsibly reduce the prison population by shortening sentences, you know, granting more paroles. And then after they're out, saying, oh, by the way, here's a free coupon for an Nexplanon if you choose. There's a Planned Parenthood down the road.
It's almost like we should have like some kind of package after they get out of prison to help them readjust to that world.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't go like first to birth control, but perhaps to like education and like job training and such things like that.
Right.
But like definitely included in that package.
Well, I mean, if women exit prison and then get pregnant straight off the bat, then that might be a complicating factor in attempting to re-enter society, you know, find a job. So, you know, so I have no objection to including birth control in these sort of things that they're volunteered,
right?
But not as, but definitely not as a trade for.
Don't make it a condition of them being able to get out early.
It's also only 30 days.
Oh,
yeah. I'm thinking that would no.
Like if you get an IUD, you're still bleeding 30 days later.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah, like yeah. Okay, that just became even worse.
Yeah. No, they need to work on that.
Yeah.
So it could be good, but right now it's bad. You know?
Okay. Well,
it does smack of human rights violation.
Yeah,
the way it's written
absolutely.
Right now.
Yeah, it's
So
definitely kind of got some controversy. I think the ACLU was involved in calling it unconstitutional.
Yeah. No, I agree. So okay. On that cherry note, let's talk about ways to get involved with reproductive rights here in Ohio.
Or in other words, let's get it on.
Okay, Kelley, you're going to Cincinnati. What's there?
I am going to Cincinnati. It is tonight, so it will be too late for people listening tomorrow.
Correct.
There's a healthcare action night tonight in Cincinnati, so there will be folks from Planned Parenthood, me from NARAL, Organizing for America, For Our Future, and a handful of other folks, and we're doing healthcare actions. I'll be doing letters to the editor on crisis pregnancy centers, and then they'll be doing postcards and phone calls and text banking about healthcare and the Affordable Care Act, and talking to Portman and McConnell about please don't screw us over last minute.
Right.
And you have a golf tournament.
Yep. In Cleveland, there's a golf tournament. It's the first annual NARAL mini golf.
Please don't say first annual. Can you say inaugural?
Inaugural.
Thank you.
First annual is what it says on the material that I didn't write.
Oh, no. Okay.
Inaugural. So putt-putt golf. So just as they do the bowl-a-thon, you make a team, you fundraise. They'll be out golfing.
But in a fun way.
In a fun way. They'll be doing that tonight in Cleveland. There will be a next version of this, a next event in Toledo next month, August 5th. So if you go to our Facebook page or check the show notes, you can find information on how to mini golf in Toledo on August 5th.
I've heard whispers that there might be one in Columbus in September, maybe later.
Yes.
Ish.
Not yet scheduled, date to be determined.
Right.
So,
but it will be coming, so stay tuned.
Yes.
Or stand by.
Yep.
It'll be fun.
And then we got Portman and Pence.
Yeah. On Friday, there is a Portman Pence protest party with Progress Ohio.
I can't say that. Portman Pence protest party.
Yeah, protest party with Progress Ohio.
Susie.
I'm not going to do. Yeah.
Yes. That'll be 3 to 5 at Progress Ohio's. I think it's at Progress Ohio's office on Gay Street. And that's 3 to 5. So there'll be sign making and more actions, like the healthcare action night tonight. And then there's the rally on Saturday at Ohio State, which will be starting at 4:30. I don't remember what.
4 o'clock at the Ohio Union this Saturday, July 22nd.
Yes.
So I may or may not be speaking. Although if you want to speak, you're more than welcome to.
I'm waiting to hear back.
And then the 29th is Youngstown Pride.
Yes. And there's also a flash mob here with us and Women's March on Washington, Columbus chapter, and Planned Parenthood. It's an Our Lives on the Line flash mob.
Right.
And that'll be at the United Methodist Church.
Sure.
I think so.
Information's on our Facebook page.
I'm tired.
Click on events. Yes.
Yeah, but it'll be fun. There'll be a drone.
Yeah.
And letter captains and things.
Photo drone.
Photo drone. Photone. Sorry.
Okay.
But we have lots going on. So a lot of ways that people can get involved and come join us, come protest.
Yep. And August 1st will be the next Stand Up for Choice. And that will be benefiting Founders Women's Health Clinic here in Columbus.
Nice.
And that'll be at Ace Cups. It'll be fun.
Awesome.
Cool.
It always is fun.
Okay. And then rounding it out, August 22nd will be the next Repro Health Happy Hour at Growl in Columbus.
And I will not be there.
Yes. Good luck.
But Gabe will.
Yes.
And I'll probably be there with him.
Yeah. Yay. It'll be fun. Okie doke. And with that, we'll see everybody next week.
Bye.
Bye.